everyone and welcome back. So today we are going to be talking about The Mandalorian, and as you know, I've mentioned The Mandalorian quite a few times now, and the season finale has just happened. So I wanted to talk about the whole season, like everything, every episode. I'm not going to go into too much detail, obviously that'll be a very long video, so let's just get straight into it because there's a lot to talk about. So obviously the season starts off with the Mandalorian trying to find others of his kind, but at the same time he ends up trying to find like the child's kind, like the Jedi's. He was trying to find someone just to help the child. The Mandalorian then acquires Boba Fett's armour from Cobb Vanth, who we don't actually see again, even though they set his character up as so he would be a recurring character, but unfortunately we don't see him again, which, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit disappointed in that because he was quite a good character. I would have thought he would come to help him at the end maybe, but no, he just didn't appear again. You never know, maybe he'll come back in season 3. Hopefully. The pair then go on to meet Bo-Katan and her crew of Mandalorian, in which our Star Wars knowledge is expanded and we learn a lot more about the Mandalorian way. But then we'll come to realise that there are different kinds of Mandalorians. There's the Child of the Watch, which is what Din Djarin, our Mandalorian guy, is, and also Boba Fett. But then what he soon discovers is that there's a newer form of Mandalorians, which is what Bo-Katan is, and obviously they have their helmets off quite a lot, which is, he doesn't think they're actual Mandalorians because obviously that's one of the most sacred rules of being a Mandalorian, is you don't take your helmet off, people don't know your identity and things like that. Bo-Katan then tells the Mandalorian to take the child to Corvus, where he will meet Ahsoka, who can help the child. Ahsoka then tells him that she can't help the child because he has an attachment to the Mandalorian. She's seen this previously with her master Anakin, and obviously he becomes Darth Vader, so it's a similar situation because she doesn't want history to repeat itself. We also find out that Ahsoka is able to communicate with the child, and we find out that he has a name, Grogu, which I'm not gonna lie, I'm not the biggest fan of that name. I definitely feel like they could have come up with something better. Ahsoka then tells the Mandalorian to take the child to the ancient ruins of the Jedi Temple, where he can call out for a Jedi to come help. In episode 6, Mando and Grogu travel to the planet where they meet Boba Fett and Fennec, who help defend Grogu from the Empire. Grogu is then taken by the Dark Troopers, and the Mandalorian ship is also destroyed in the process. Then in the next episode, the Mandalorian creates a team. The team break into an Imperial facility to get the coordinates of Moff Gideon's ship, where the child is currently being held. During this episode, in order to get the coordinates, the Mandalorian takes off his helmet, which symbolises how much the child really means to him, as obviously this is one of the most sacred rules of the Mandalorian, so it really symbolises how much the child means to him and how much he wants to get the child back. In the final episode of the season, everything leads up to this very episode where the Mandalorian rescues the child. He does this with the help of an even bigger team, as Bo-Katan and Cosca Reeves, the Mandalorians, help out as well. We get to witness the battle between Mandalorian and Moff Gideon, in which the Mandalorian wins, which means that the Darksaber is rightfully the Mandalorian's, which he isn't aware of, and this later causes complications with Bo-Katan, who needs to have the rights to the Darksaber in order to reclaim Mandalore. The Dark Troopers then return to the ship, making their way to where the group is positioned. Obviously the group are no match for the Dark Troopers, as we previously saw what it was like for the Mandalorian just to defeat one, and he had to give his all to defeat it. Out of the window we see a solo X-Wing starfighter enter the ship, and then out steps Luke Skywalker, who single-handedly takes down all of the Dark Troopers. It is obvious that he is the Jedi who came from the cause that the child put out in the 6th episode. There is then an emotional scene where the child then exits the show. Then R2-D2 also makes a little surprise appearance, which I kind of love that. I love R2-D2. And then we also get to see a little post-credit scene in which Boba Fett and Fennec kill Bib Fortuna, and then Boba Fett takes his throne. At the end of this post-credit scene we see the Book of Boba come in 2021, which is then made obvious that they held off announcing this at the Disney Investors Day as it was already in the show. So that was a nice little surprise at the end. And it makes it very interesting, like, is it going to be its own show? Is it going to be the next chapter? The next part in this is my thoughts on the series. So in this season, the CGI and the production value is clearly went up by quite a mile. First of all, the CGI in this season and the production value is definitely went up by an absolute mile. Like, I think it's the first episode where the Krayt Dragon is there, and it just looked so real. I could not like fault any of the CGI. I could not find anything wrong with it, and it was just incredible, which then sets up the whole season, as the whole season is just definitely amped up in production value and CGI. When Pedro Pascal takes off his helmet in the canteen, he turns his whole head rather than using his peripheral vision, which shows that he's so used to having the helmet on, that he's just so used to turning his head every single time they look, which makes it quite obvious that he's looking at someone. Another thing that is quite obvious is that Baby Yoda, the child's character, is definitely developed by a mile. He is a lot more cheekier, and he sometimes goes against what the Mandalorian tells him, especially in that episode where he keeps eating the eggs of the reptile. The bond between the Mandalorian and the child also develops quite a lot, as we used to see him as a carer and now we see him more as a father figure. The Mandalorian then says this in the last episode: "He is my only priority," which means that he does not care what happens as long as he rescues the child. This shows how incredible the bond is between the child and the Mandalorian, as he's risking absolutely everything to rescue him. The series then brings in a lot of different characters from the Star Wars universe, such as Bo-Katan, Ahsoka, Cobb Vanth and Boba Fett, where we also get to learn a lot more about the characters in a bit more detail. It's constantly brought up how the Empire is coming back, which could build bridges between the originals and the prequels, which then could suggest how the First Order rises. We also find out that the child was in the temple during Order 66, which killed all of the Jedis. Well, almost all of them. The battle between Din Djarin and Moff Gideon is probably the most epic we have seen in the show so far. The duel showed the Mandalorian's true strengths and that he would do absolutely anything to protect the child. Currently the show is holding a 9.9 on IMDb, which just really shows how incredible the finale was. This could also be due to the shock factor of Luke Skywalker turning up. I just also want to put in about how amazingly well they did Luke Skywalker. Obviously they did like kind of face morph Mark Hamill onto a stunt double, and obviously then de-aged him. It was just done absolutely fantastically. Episode 2 didn't give us a lot. It was definitely more of a filler episode, which I feel like they could have used that episode a lot more to like maybe help develop the plot more or give us more insight on some characters. Okay, now for the thoughts on season 3. What is it going to be? Will Baby Yoda return? Mando did say that he will see Baby Yoda again, but because of the Boba Fett post-credit scene, we have no kind of idea when that'll be, because the Boba Fett post-credit scene could signify that the next chapter has to do with him and not the child. But this is also a good thing, because obviously it's called The Mandalorian, it's not called The Child. It is based on the Mandalorian stories, which I am quite happy about, as we do get to focus more on the Mandalorian without the distraction of Baby Yoda. We just don't know when Baby Yoda will return. He might be in season 3 a little bit, he might not be in it at all. It is quite obvious that the writers wanted to keep Moff Gideon alive, because obviously he did try to kill one of the Mandalorians, and he also tried to kill himself, but he was stopped. So it's obvious that the writers clearly aren't done with him, which I do think he will be a big character in season 3. Okay, so overall for me, this is the best season they have done yet, with the CGI and production value going up by a mile and all the little surprises we have. We also get quite a bit of insight of the Mandalorian history, which we really should have got a lot earlier on, but I guess we are getting it gradually. So I'm happy we did get to see more of what the Mandalorian actually means, what they stand for, and then I also can't wait to see what season 3 brings us. So I am going to rate this 9 out of 10, maybe 10 out of 10 if I can. Maybe 10 out of 10 if I can, because there just are no faults in my opinion. Thank you so much for watching. This has been my first review. I'm sorry if it was a little bit boring. I'm not used to doing this yet, but please leave recommendations down below, or if you want me to do any more reviews, tell me what you want me to review, or give me recommendations for TV shows or films I should watch. And yeah, I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching, and remember to subscribe down below and like this video, and yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching.